Today I get the chance to sit down and speak with a sniper in the Ukrainian armed forces, somebody who started off his military career in early 22 to defend his home, but now leads a specialized sniper unit. In the last interview he was able to give, we speak about everything, from the early days of 22, the failed Ukrainian counteroffensive of 2023 in Zaporizhia, up to some of the current day events going on. This was filmed back in April, and for a lot of different reasons, I am only now able to get it out. However, I do find this interview to still be relevant, interesting, and informative. I hope that you find it the same.
I'm a sniper officer of one of the special forces units in Ukraine. Since it started, since February 2022, I'm in the armed forces, and I went through infantry, then I became sniper, and still I'm sniping.
What motivated you to join and fight in this battle?
Well, I think it's not a question of any motivation. I think it's just a question of honor for every person who lives here. I always, write this stuff in social media. It's just a question of honor. It's not like I read in somewhere, I don't remember where, but I wrote that it's not a conscious choice, it's just a matter of honor. So I thank everyone who think he got enough strength to fight, he should do that.
Do you think that enough people take that opportunity?
Well, I think not exactly. I think from such a big country as our country is, there could be much more motivated people. Although when all that stuff started in 2022, there were lots of volunteers there, but after 3 years, I understand that there are also lots of disappointed people. But it's pretty common thing when the large-scale war is going on, because it's very hard psychologically for people. They're trying to find some issues not to fight. They're trying to find some, like, I don't know how to say it correct, but it's like psychological thing. They just think that they just will be somewhere not in front of this stuff, but somewhere back and watching that somebody will fight with it. So it is what it is, because when it all started, there were like lots of highly motivated guys, girls who fought, and now we understand that there is not enough, because war is lasting so long. It's very hard, so it's pretty hard to explain why is that, but there are like lots of issues.
Can you talk a little bit about some of that first year, what the fighting was like then, in that initial phase of fighting?
Well, the first year, I think that the invaders, Russians, I think they were a little bit cocky, They believed in themselves. But the problem is that as it was in World War II, they always study. They make decisions. Sometimes their decisions are right. That's why it's pretty hard to fight them. Comparing, for example, 2022 with 2023, it was much easier, because as I already told, that they were very cocky. They believed in themselves. They thought that we are very weak, that we can fight. They made lots of mistakes, and they started to develop some things, started to change some tactics, and now understand that it's pretty hard to fight them. Although people who already met them before, military, we already know that they're very strong, and the enemy is like, it's one of the strongest armies, one of the biggest armies. It's like country who spends lots of money supporting the army, so it just can't be easy. Even in 2022, we understand that it won't be easy at all.
In 2022, when that, as you put it, easier phase of fighting was going on, What were you doing? You said you were infantry originally. Is that when you started with them?
Yeah. Started. We just. I'm personally from Kharkiv, and we gathered like volunteers, and we were thinking that in that time that we'll take the weapons and we'll just fight for Kharkiv, but now I understand that we were not prepared good. For example, our unit, because it was made just from the guys from the street. Of course, some of us had experience using weapons. We had, like for example, I had hobby. Uh, I used to have practiced in precision rifle shooting. I knew how to carry weapons, how to use it, but uh, understanding the tactics, I understand that if we would be in hard position, I think we all would die. Just thanks to 92nd Brigade, to 3rd Operative Brigade of National Guard Spartan, who just take the whole the whole shot on themselves, and they stopped the invaders there. So, and after that, yeah, I came to National Guard, and then I served, changed few deployments. Now I'm in Special Forces.
Can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing throughout the expanse of this war with your previous units, not the one that you're in now?
I was in Kharkiv. I was in Kharkiv district. I was 6 months in counteroffensive operation in Zaporizhia, which was like pretty awful for us. I was in Ugledar, Velika Novosilka. There was Chasiv Yar. Yeah, and my deployment where I know they were pretty long time in Avdiivka also. So yeah, I've been a little bit to some guys. Like it was also the funny situation when there was the Bakhmut battle. I came to deployment, and we were preparing to go there. They were like pretty hard battle there. You maybe know that historically. And we were lucky that we just went to it, and we were set to go back. We were said that the Bakhmut is over. We just go back, and Bakhmut is already occupied, so we won't fight there anymore. So, but I know pretty lot of guys lost their lives, lost their health there, because it was pretty hard. But after this, when like the summer counteroffensive operation started, we understood that this was like just piece of cake comparing what happened in Zaporizhia, because that was the real massacre there. It was very hard. Especially it was very hard because we were assaulting, and when you assault, you always have bigger losses. So it was very hard, yeah.
Why do you think that counteroffensive in particular was so brutal?
Well, as a person who took part there since end of May till the December 2023, and I take part in every phase of it, and I saw that I can say that Russians were ready to face it. Because I'm not a general, I just can't judge the tactics, but in my opinion, because I was like just the guy on the battlefront, I think that we made some mistakes going to such strongholds as they had, and it was very hard to do that. We just couldn't break them because they made their position so good, so smart, that it was very hard to go through, especially understanding that we didn't have aviation, so we hoped on artillery. Yeah, artillery made the job, but it was not enough. So, and it was very hard because fields were open, lots of mines there. So I think my opinion, we shouldn't do that. We should do like something smarter. For example, there were two parts where it was like one was where we were in Zaporizhia, and second were in Donbas. Like as far as I remember, it was Klishchiivka, Kurdyumivka, like the villages near Bakhmut. Also, and there was also counteroffensive. One of my best friends, my schoolmate, Kirill Shukin, he was in Brigade Fury, police brigade. He was a policeman. Before police, he was a special forces soldier, and he was working 3 years in police, and he went like as a volunteer. He was a very experienced fighter. He died there because the assaults were very hard there. And I know these things from him. He gave his life in the battlefield. So in there and in the south, it was very hard, very brutal. I think it could be much better to make maybe one shot, not two, I think, because we didn't have enough, I think. Although there were lots of brigades, 9th and 10th Army Corps, in every corps there were like few brigades, and there were lots of people as far as they thought were, but basically it was not enough to go through, because we knew that we should take the Tokmak, but to go to Tokmak was very hard, because we were first in like first line, second line, and we only saw the main line before Tokmak. We didn't assault it. We even didn't assault it. So it was very hard, and I think it was just, I don't know, maybe just someone was thinking that we'll be lucky, because for example, we were told that Russians will run. We already, like guys who already fight somewhere, we thought like, why should they run? But we were told by the commanders, yeah, come on, let's do the assault. They will run and you'll take their positions. But no, they didn't, and it was pretty hard, yeah. I think to take what we could take there, it was big progress, even for those 40, I think, or 35 kilometers. It's like very small amount, but it was very hard to do that. So I think we call even this small part a success, because forces were not so strong to go through further.
In that counteroffensive, there was also a good amount of counter battery fire that had been destroyed, equipment that had either been destroyed or captured. Do you think that later helped, or was this counteroffensive just a straight defeat?
Well, I can't judge, because I'm not, such a high person to understand the whole plan, but I can't say exactly, because what I saw, it was there were lots of men who came as volunteers to the army. They were mobilized from the streets, but they were not mobilized by force. They came by their will, by their hearts. They wanted to change something. They want to save their land, and they gave their lives. They lost their lives. So for me, it was like awful thing, because I can't say. Of course, we also like comparing. If we compare losses, I think, for my opinion, what I saw for assault, it was great statistics, because Russians, although they were defending themselves, they lost much more people. But comparing to how much is their resource, human resource, I think it's not enough. So it's like comparing the statistics. So for me, it was very hard, because, for example, our reconnaissance company, where lots of my friends, lots of them were dead. Some became invalids, some lost their legs, some lost their hands, and now they're living their hard life. But so for me, it's can't to say exactly. Can we say that was? Of course, it was not success, because we didn't take the Tokmak, we didn't go to the sea how we wanted before. So, but to say that it was like awful operation, I also can't say, because it was somewhere it was success, and lots of Russians were killed, so it wasn't so bad. But it was very hard. It was a massacre for sure, and everyone who went through that counteroffensive operation, I think they came back with like different view on everything what's happening. Also, so as I was, so it was very hard, and even now, with my friends who survived it, sometimes, uh, like I met one of my friends a few days ago, and we just were laughing and thinking like, damn, how could just we get back there alive, in one piece. It was so lucky. Now we were smiling, but that time it was so scary. It was so awful. Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to ask you about that shift in perspective that you had mentioned. What was that shift for you like after this failed Zaporizhia counteroffensive?
Yeah, I saw the things different. That I saw that we lost lots of highly motivated guys, and the system in the army. It in many ways it was Soviet, and that was the problem. That was the problem because we were told, and lots of guys were told, like, you can watch the interview of Sergeant Marcus, yeah, who made like the huge film about that. The things that he is talking about, people can say everything, but mostly he is absolutely right in everything he is talking about the young officers who came from academies and they are not prepared to take, uh, you know, to make decisions, to make right decisions about the people's lives. The problem also, and many people on the high levels, like colonels, they always want to have some guys who suit them well, who won't say them bad word, And it's also like watching this, you understand that there are still lots of problems from the Soviet Union, and the scary thing is that there are lots of young guys who are like brainwashed by Soviet system. You see like the 25, 26 years old officer who lived in independent Ukraine, who don't know what the Soviet Union is, but he thinks as typical Soviet officer. Although I think in some ways Soviet officer is better because at least he knows the subject of war. He knows how to do that stuff. Many of those guys, they don't, and they think only about their ambitions, their career, some maybe money, maybe positions in the army, and that's the problem also, as far as I see. That's what it is. That's what I think that shifted the mind, because we saw that somewhere there are lots of guys who try to change system, and they're doing it really good. But there are also lots of guys who just, as I told before, doing this stuff wrong, as far as I think.
And that is what I imagine is very difficult to see and realize, especially as a soldier in your position.
Well, like I always say, for officer, like now I'm an officer, but I was a soldier, I was a sergeant, I was a major sergeant, I came through different steps. I always say that officers should go through that stuff, especially in the war. They should feel all this thing that just ordinary soldiers feel. In that way, they will understand. Maybe they could understand what do those people feel, because it's very hard to sit in the basement watching in the monitor what the drone shows you, drinking coffee in your t-shirt, to understand the guy who is in trench under the bombs, under the Russian drones, who is nervous, who didn't sleep for a few days. He will never understand, because he was studied as a person who see in ordinary soldiers resource to complete the task, and that's the problem also, as far as I see. But it's only my opinion, because your viewers can make their own decisions It's only my opinion. I'm just ordinary person. What I see, that's what I'm talking about. It's my opinion, just.
Absolutely, no. I appreciate it, and I think a lot of people get a lot out of hearing, especially from soldiers who come in here who are ordinary folks, you know?
What do you think are some things that people get wrong about this war who are not in your position? As you mentioned, you have a very unique perspective here.
I think the foreigners, they don't understand the real stuff. It's a pity, but with all the respect to our companions, our helpers, with all the respect to the United States, but I know that in the United States, most of the guys, they just don't understand the whole stuff what's happening here. Because to understand it, they may ask maybe some guys from your army who came here, like I met few Americans in 2022, in the end of the year. They also were in Bakhmut. And they all went back home because they were shocked at what happened there. Although they were the Marines, they were well prepared as far as I saw. But psychologically and how intense war was and how intense it is, it's very hard for them. So with all the respect, ordinary people who live in far, far away by the ocean, they just don't understand many things. They think it's just like some conflict or compare this war with some other continental small war, but it's like large scale, pretty similar to World War II or World War I, with lots of losses from both sides, with all the type of weapons there. So that's the first what I wanted to say. Also, like civilians. Civilians in our country, as far as you see in Kiev, they live their own life. Like we say in our deployment, they just want to live their good life. And you can see it through the windows of the cars, of the cafes. It's okay, of course, maybe, but I'm not sure. Maybe we're fighting for this also. But the thing is that they also sometimes say that they're tired of all that stuff, of the pressure that they feel. But for sure, comparing to pressure that feels the infantry in the field, they just don't understand. They don't know a shit about it, for sure. Believe me. When then the guy tells you how hard is his life here in civilian, I always say you can just go to trench, gather in 100,000 hryvnias for battle money, with your salary of 25, it's $3,000 a month, live in the trench, in the water, and you can say then after the month, if you will survive, how hard is your life here. So that's the problem also. But this problem is also caused by the social medias, by the press, maybe, because although some people say that there is some propaganda from our parliament, maybe from president, although people can say that, what I see that there are lots of resources in Telegram channels, in YouTube channels that just brainwash people, and they just think that they understand something about the war, but they don't. You can meet some guys in the gym that think that they really understand what's happening there, that it's all for the money, for the power, for the president want to see it for the whole life for sure. And he, of course, the taxi driver, he for sure knows that, although he have never been there. And that's a pity, that people just, they, how to say it correct in English, they just can't think critically. They can give critics only on things that somebody told them already. They read some info, they talking it to each other, but who told them that it's true?
Right. some report or some
Yeah,
other
yeah,
person
and
who might not be
it's
informed
like,
as well.
all this stuff. You as a journalist, you understand that newspapers, social medias, they can change the view. And when the people think that their point of view is just fair and square, it may not for sure. Especially if he didn't do some job, he hadn't been to the battlefield. How can he make some decisions, some conclusions about all this stuff? And that's also the problem, because there are lots of people who talk some smack about the army that they may be read in some articles, some newspapers, like mobilization also. Of course, there could be like few like situations where people were forced to the bus, but we should understand that it's not like the total, like it's not like hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands. Yeah, of course, now you just can't hide anything because everyone got photos, everyone got videos, and you can see that. But I'm always asking when people saying that it's a very bad situation. I'm always asking, let's see the situation that you are ex-military, for example. Now you're civilian, but you were military. You gave an oath to your country, and you said that you will protect her people, its people, its democracy, its sovereignty. You will fight for it. You gave the oath, and now you like got the ticket that you should go to the army. You just watch the ticket, and I want to live my good life. I don't give a damn about all this stuff. And you live your good life. Then police or like somewhere else, like the centers of like mobilization, they check in your documents and you are like the criminal. So who is right in this situation? Of course we can say that government didn't give me like education, didn't give me like a flat where I live, didn't buy me a car, but we always know our rights, but we don't know our duties. And that's the whole problem of people. Because first come the duty, and then come the right. It was like in the United States, for sure. How many people died in civilian war? Yeah? Your civil war is like total massacre, for sure.
Absolutely.
War for independence. Of course, it was like 300 years ago.
Sure, but the principle is the same.
But principle still the same. And to live your good life and to live your kids to live a good life further, you should do something. Yeah, you should do something. That's what I'm always talking to people. Of course, I want everyone to be like volunteer. You know, I want everyone to like feel the pain of other people, to respect dead soldiers, wounded soldiers, people who just gave their life for your freedom. But I understand that most of civilians, they just don't give a damn about this stuff. They think that they're too smart, and that war is like for some like stupid, that I'm so smart, I understand that war is for money always, but it doesn't work that way, for sure. You just can't be like and beautiful and smart in one tube, yeah? You should make the choice. So to change something, you should do something.
There's a necessary step that needs to be made to fight for your country, to fight for your democracy that you've been fighting for since.
It's what I'm always talking. It's not even about like some people think it's about culture, language. It's a very wide question. Culture, language. For me, for example, like my grandfather is Russian. Yeah, he was Russian. He's dead already. But the thing is that it's just not right. The things that happened, the invasion of Ukraine, we didn't do nothing bad to Russia, for sure. Since 2014, when they invaded Crimea, they took them, annexed it. So what did we do the wrong way? That we just tried to do something by our way. and they didn't like that for sure. Then they started to talk about like historical lands, that there are no such language, there are no such country. I don't give a fuck about what you're talking about, the history. I just talking to you that 1991, everyone told that Ukraine is the independent, sovereign country. So, what else should you understand? Why are you talking about Cossacks, Kiev Rus? Yeah, this was history, of course. It was Russian Empire, maybe it was. But let's talk about 1991, independent country with the borders, and you just occupying it, and who is right and who is wrong here. Always talking about Nazis, about some other stuff. That is just crazy. There's such a lot amount of people living here and still speaking Russian, for example in Kiev, and it's no problem at all. And they say that it's problem, yeah, it's all Nazis here, so so it's just not right not to support the struggle against the invader, from my opinion.
There's this idea, like you said, that people like to go back in history to try to justify current events, but at the end of the day, it was your borders that were violated, and one of the people who had initially given these security guarantees was the people doing it now, were the Russians.
Yeah, it's also the interesting thing in the world now, people just, as far as I think, that it's now very interesting and dangerous time. Because Russia showed everyone that still the force is the main thing around. It's a pity, but basically there is no civilization. As it was like in the Rome, as it was when Alexander the Macedonian was, this who is the strongest, he will do what he wants. And now this is shown for everyone. There is no Western values, no cultural values which can stop all this stuff. If the strong want to take something, he will do that. And now everything changed, and what was built in 1945 when Japan and Germany capitulated, now I think it's ruined. It's pretty similar situation when it was a League of Nations after World War II. It didn't work when Hitler started the Second World War. Then they make the UN. What can we say about the UN now? Russia is the head. They doing what they want. UN don't give a damn about nothing. So it doesn't work at all. So yeah, everything is changing, and it's very hard time. And people in Europe, as far as I saw, I was like in one military base in Europe training. I talked to their soldiers, like they understand that the situation now is pretty dangerous even for Europe, because every agreements that were working before, they just may not work. Now they're safe, of course, because Russia say that we don't need them, like the problem's only with Ukraine, and we can make some agreement if they'll do like first two steps that they think we could do. But basically, Europe is living like in dangerous situation, for sure. Because the United States are far away, they are rich, they are powerful, and they pretty sure they feel themselves comfortable, especially from Russia. Maybe China can make some problems, but not Russia for sure. So everything changing, and it's a very interesting time just to watch what's happening, as far as I think.
Do you think that Europe is taking this seriously?
Yeah, I think that Europe is taking this serious, especially when you change the president and he told that he'll take away your troops. Because they were just sitting like smoking cigar, like drinking tea and thinking that the mighty US will carry their asses. And now what we see, like Trump told that we don't want to. Why should we? Make your, solve your problems by yourself. And they started to think something about the army, about the economy, about the spending more money on the army. Yeah, I noticed that, and even talking to military in Europe. But the thing is that it's pretty long process. You just can't make it like bam and we are doing okay. It's like it can take a pretty long period of time to make everything good. But I'm sure that Great Britain, France, and Germany, for sure, and Norway, for sure, they got enough money to carry every problem, to solve every our problem, to make their armies great. This only the motivational part of their people, because their societies are too soft. Because well-developed societies with Western values, they are very soft because of the good life, and they just don't want to go to the army. They don't want to fight. For sure, it will be very hard for them to struggle. For sure, no disrespect for everyone. I understand why it is. It's because their life for at least 50 years was exceptional and good.
With your experience, do you think it is possible to fully push the Russians back? To get back areas like the Donbas, like Crimea?
By the force, I don't think.
By diplomacy, do you think it's possible?
Yeah, I think I'm not diplomat.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. What I see, to be honest, I don't know how can we just with what resources, with what people can we do that? Because we lost lots of the best in 2023, 2022 when we were stopping them, 2024. And now, do we have people to make this stuff? I don't think. I don't think that we can make another operation, for example, in South, much better than we've done in 2023 when I was fighting there. I don't think. I think that even for me, victory is to save country by itself and to give Russians less than they want to take, for sure. But to take everything back, I don't know how. I asked lots of people, also lots of different military, how do they think? They also don't know how. Especially from my perspective as a fighting guy who is, although I'm an officer, but in my deployment everyone is officer and we are just like ordinary infantry performing our tasks. Although we mostly don't live in trenches for months, we're just making some operations, some work and going back, but I don't know where can we find the people to force Russians back. As far as you can see, less motivation in civilians, so I think everyone who wanted, he already joined the forces. So it's pretty complicated question, but I don't think that it's possible, at least for now. Maybe something will change. For example, my thoughts are if we had more money to motivate people, I think we could find at least 100,000 who could just go to the army for money, for sure, like Russians do, because their guys always going for money. They're paying them, although they're just sending them to death always. It's like in Pokrovsk, Dachna, there was the place there were already I think 70 or 75 corpses we counting, and they were just going there and dying and dying and dying. No problem, they'll find more because they got money, they'll pay them. And this problematic regions where salaries are low, of course it's pretty good motivation for them because they can solve their problems. And of course they also, propaganda says that Ukrainians are weak, we will win, so you can sign the contract, go to the war, you'll get money, we will invade them, everything will be okay. But no, they just die.
I believe the current sign-on bonus for Russians is actually higher than the US soldier sign-on bonus.
For sure, I think I heard it's more than $10,000, like $19,000. Even for Ukraine, it's like a crazy amount of money. For Russia, for sure, especially if some salaries there are like $300 a month, $19,000, it just will close some of your problems. Some credits, you can buy a car, maybe house in some broken village. For sure, it's pretty good motivation. Of course, especially understanding the fact that they just can print money and give them easily. So that's the fact.
We also now see Russia employing different foreign mercenaries, obviously those from Africa, those from China, the North Koreans who fought in Kursk to push out the Ukrainian offensive there.
It's also a very interesting thing about North Korea, because as far as I think, North Korea is not an independent player on the field. As far as I think, Northern Korea is totally under Chinese regulation. I believe that no ammo shells, no rockets, no troops were in Russia if China told not to do that. Because as far as we know, Northern Korea lives for Chinese money and pretty big amount of Chinese money. So China could just stop that, only taking like this, saying that stop. That's why I think they're supporting all that stuff. It's my opinion. I think they're supporting and they are making money. Even on DJI Mavic 3 batteries, they are selling them, to us. And this like the main drone that is using. So lots of money going to the economy. So I think, why did those Chinese came? Maybe to have some experience. Korean, of course, I think they're interested in having new info about new war, about how it's happening, how does it work. I think it's training camp for them. Although they're dying, but they make the decisions. As far as you know, dictators never count lives, so they don't give a damn about the Korean soldiers. They just get the experience, understanding how do they train them, how will they train them. So yeah, it's also pretty hard, especially in that region, Australia, Taipei. They should think about tomorrow for sure, because it's not, I think it's not just countries that helping Russia a little bit. I think they also can change something in world order.
There's something I hear quite often, that Ukraine today is what Czechoslovakia was in 1938. Obviously with people coming in, testing new weapon tech, the person attacking wanting a little bit of land, but then trying to grab more and more of it. Do you think that this is relevant today, or do you think that people have learned a lesson?
Well, I think the situation changed because they already have the experience of Hitler. They already know how it finished, how he finished. And I think they understand that it's a different way. And the war which they planned, it's like not just military operation. It's also psychological operation. It's also work in the internet. So it's much wider. I think their goals could be much bigger than they are now, but they also are exhausted. As far as I see, they are exhausted and we are also exhausted. So no one have enough force to destroy another army to win the war. That's why it's all stuck in that way. And pretty bloody, but it's pretty bloody, but it's stopped in some way. As far as you see, it doesn't change much. They got some success maybe somewhere, but basically comparing to the forces that they're using, it's nothing at all. Comparing to their losses, to money which they spend, it's nothing for sure.
You've talked about some of these places that Russia has now gained. Obviously Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Velika Novosilka had fallen earlier this year. Is it hard for you to have been in these places, to have fought in these places and now see them lost?
my psychology is a little bit different, you know. I don't think about, for me, for example, my native city, Kharkiv, is pretty important psychologically, although no one of my family lives there now. It would be a tragedy for me if they would occupy it, but when we talk about other cities that we were fought for, it's just situation, just statistics, because basically it's like in World War One. It doesn't matter how many lands can you capture. The winning the war is not about capturing the land. It's about destroying the enemy's army. Because Germans in World War One, they captured lots of lands and they lost. And that's what history told us. But the thing is that, of course, it's a pity, but my logic is that if we'll kill 5 times more Russians than our guys died, I think it will be a success, even if we lose some village. You know, I think in that way, because of course it's a pity to lose some village, but basically after Russians, every city, every town, every village is total mess. It's destroyed because they occupied by the clever way only a very small amount of places. Because yeah, somewhere they could do that, and the places are pretty like how this word in English, not safe. Okay, how you understand?
They're all right.
All right, yeah. It's very small amount. Mostly they're messed, they're destroyed. So what do they do there? I don't know. I don't believe that they will build something, because as far as we saw, they didn't restore much before. So that's why, of course, it's a bad thing to lose your land, but for me, it's not the main goal. For me, much more important is life of the people, life of the soldiers, and land will take it back if we'll have the opportunity.
What is it like to go up against the Russians today, in 2025? Have things significantly changed, or is it just more of the same of what it had been?
They lost lots of professionals in 2022, and now they're carrying them. They still got pretty big amount, but they're holding them for some special missions. Mostly the people that we met, it's like mobilized for money, pretty like low quality people for sure. And it's just because for me in 2022, when we were talking with my friend Kirill, whom I was talking about, who died, we already understood that this will be a hard game for us, for sure. Because only stupid people could think that it will be like just easy way, we'll just stop them. Because huge country, huge amount of resources, huge amount of money, huge amount of people. And it for sure the country which always learns something new, which make conclusions about everything, which can make good decisions, as far as we see with the drones, for example, with rockets. Yeah, they got lots of problems. I think they have much more problems in the army than we, for sure. And that also helps us. But in teaching people, in studying some new tactics, they're always working on it. Like using the motorcycles, for example, they're trying to make some new assaults, some new tactics. They always think how to defeat us. For sure, it's a strong enemy, and we should respect and understand how to face them correct.
With Russian offensives this year, such as the ones in Sumy and Kharkiv, obviously those in the Donbas, do any of these worry you, or do you think that these areas can hold?
Well, it depends. For me, as far as I see on my vision, it's in nearest perspective, they are for sure safe because we still get lots of forces. We still got everything to stop them. So as far as I see, for the nearest perspective, everything is okay. But how can it be? How will it be in a year? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? And everything can change because many depends on money that given us Europe, gave us before United States, military aid. So yeah, it depends on different factors. So it's pretty hard. For now, I think they don't have enough forces, and their success in Donbas a few months ago, yeah, they had some success there. But as far as you see, for example, Chasiv Yar, you can see where I was. They trying to occupy it since like last summer, and every week they telling that we'll take it, we'll clean it, we'll clean it. Now it's like April
Yes.
for sure, and still Chasiv Yar is not free for them, like they say. They didn't free it from us. Still our forces fighting there, so everything not so good as they want to say is. But of course, they get possibilities to increase some work. Yeah, they got power, they got money, so they can find, I think, new people because country is pretty big. But not for the nearest perspective. I think they won't get what they want for sure, for nearest month for sure.
I wanted to ask you specifically about your experience being a sniper. I don't know of many people who can publicly talk about the work that you have done.
Well, it's interesting job and it's pretty hard, complicated. You should know lots of stuff to work. It's pretty dangerous. And to be honest, now we don't have such amount of work as we had, for example, in 2022, in early 2023. We had much more job. Now it's like there are also job for snipers, but many snipers are using drones, making some other operations, but because sometimes we just don't have opportunities to work because battlefield changed, and nowadays it's not a lot of job. Of course, there is for new calibers which can shoot further. Like I use like 375 Chaytek. It can shoot further like kin of 2 miles. Shoot out of it. You can shoot 2 kilometers pretty easily if you know how to shoot. But to be honest, sometimes we using just ordinary rifles like R15 on our tasks because we don't have the distances. And if you have the distance like 200 meters, you don't need to take the rifle. So you take sniper rifle, I mean, you just take the carbine and work, and yeah. So it depends on situation. But the work itself is pretty unique, and snipers always were like white ravens among the whole infantry. So, but to be honest, now we don't have a lot of work, you know.
Is that particularly because of the switch to drones? I've heard this from anti-air crews, infantry, artillery crews even now being trained on drones.
It's like the artillery. Artillery now also is not used so much as drones, because drones took the job of snipers for sure. Now a sniper can make the targeting for drones. You can say like we had situation my previous company. The guys were saw the target, and they were like told the Russian, told to radio that this is the target, we can work. And before they just could shoot, like drone just killed that Russian, so they just couldn't work. So it's pretty like obvious now that drones make most of jobs. So, and they changed the battlefield, and they changed using the snipers because it's much harder to hide. It's much harder to find the position because Russian drones are always in the sky. They always controlling. So, but still, we have job to do, but not so big amount as it was in 2022, 2023.
It is an interesting dynamic how this has changed warfare just so much.
Yeah, because war always change everything. War develop weapons, war develop tactics, and it's normal that for on the fourth year of the large-scale war, something changed, and it's absolutely normal thing. And people should understand that, develop themselves to study new things, to understand new tactics, like Russians do. They always like they're using these motorcycles, like few days ago they were doing the assault on Malaya Tokmachka with I heard that 100 motorcycles because they already trained that. It wasn't just they took the motorcycle and say let's try to do assault. They were preparing, they were training how to move fast on it, how to drop it quick and start in the assault. In the center they put the guy with anti-drone system, so they already thought how to change tactics. So war developed everything for sure.
And to be clear, we're talking about Russian assaults on bikes, something like a blitz tactic.
Yeah, for sure. Because usually, I think they believe that they can do it easily, and I heard that they used lots of infantry there, but it was unsuccessful for them, successful for us. Lots of Russians were dead, because I think they just believed in themselves too much. But their tactics also, like I was in Luhansk region, in Stelmachivka, not far from Izum also. I forgot that it was in December. They also what I saw. They also using tactics of small groups. They always throw few people just walking by their legs and trying to go to our positions, and if it's possible to assault. Lots of them were killed, but some were successful because a few times they just went in positions and our troops gave up. So they just shoot them. That's what I'm talking also, that you shouldn't give up to Russians if they're assaulting you, because it's just pretty simple logic. If two guys are going somewhere just to take your trench, usually it's one-time soldier. They just send them to reconnaissance. They mostly they will die for sure, but they will undercover our positions. Will and further will artillery or planes, something will work on it. But if they are successful, they just take them and waiting for their other troops that will gather there and go further. And what your logic is when you surrender, because they basically don't have another chance to go back. They move it only forward. Their task is to take the position or to undercover your position. So if you are surrendering, if you want to give up, for sure they won't take you, for sure, because where would they take you if they won't go back? And if you are 3 of you or 4 of you, it's much bigger chance for you to kill them than to surrender. But what I saw one time, God's sake, but I said one time, but 4 of our guys just surrendered to 2, and they were just shot all of the 4. And what I always say to some young guys that think about it, do they have the opportunity to take you? I don't think so, because they have their task. They won't carry you because they don't need you, for sure. So they will shoot you. And it's pretty bad position, but that is what it is.
Coming near the end of the interview, I often like to ask the question if there's anything that you would like to add, something you've not been asked before, something you think people should know, or just something you would like to speak about.
I thought about that question before the interview, and I don't know, because I think I told so much about what I wanted, It's always like people have been asking me, I always just can't stop talking. But the thing is that the things are sometimes, they're not going that way that people just see they are, Because the war is different, the war is awful, always. But to understand what's happening, you can only being here, being not even here in the city, but only on the front line. Because lots of information are there in Twitter, Facebook, some other social medias, propaganda from all the sides. But the truth is absolutely different. And don't make any decisions after listening to someone and reading someone, because only if you will be there, you will understand. Because presidents may lie, journalists may lie, and don't make any decisions. Just think logically, like I always say, we didn't invade anyone. We just trying to defend ourselves, trying to save our country, trying to save our nation. So that's the bottom line, what everyone should understand. There is no like half colors, like 50 shades of gray. No, there is not. For sure, there is black and white. For us, for sure. Of course, we have some problems. It's absolutely a normal thing in country that is in war for 10 years, especially understanding the fact that we came from the Soviet Union, lots of Soviet mentality still is here. But the thing is that the thing that we are doing just to save our country. I hope I told something interesting for you and to your viewers. I hope you like the interview. So take care of yourself, guys. God bless America. God bless Europe. God save the King. So we'll see. We'll fight till the end, Like we'll say with our friend, we're here till the end, or the end of the war. So